everyone, and welcome to the Free Range Diva. It's food day today, and I wanted to bring you one of my favorite desserts that I am trying to rework into a breakfast meal. The dessert is called Clafoutis, and it's a French dessert. And what it is it's fruit, usually cherries, that are baked in kind of a custard, a fluffy sort of half souffle, half cake custard. It's definitely more on the side of custard than it is on the side of cake. And I thought that it would be a great breakfast to turn this into like a pancake with fruit inside. So the idea I had was to lower the amount of sugar and then see if I could recreate that same sort of fluffy texture. And because the late summer peaches are in the farmers markets right now and they are so sweet and so big and gorgeous, I decided to, instead of using cherries, I decided to use peaches. Now, I have made this dessert as a dessert many times, and when I make it, I usually would use pears. But it's too early for pears, but we've still got some beautiful peaches. So the recipe that I used as my base recipe was from the Joy of Cooking. Yes, one of my favorite cookbook Bibles. And I made some changes. I lowered the amount of sugar, and I also lowered the amount of flour. So I want to show you, go down to my kitchen and show you the exact what I did and how it came out. And then I'll come back and talk to you about my thoughts about the overall recipe and how I'm going to change it going forward. Okay, here we go. So here are the ingredients for the custard. I've got 3 eggs, a cup of milk, a teaspoon of vanilla, a pinch of salt, which is not here. This is a 1/4 cup of sugar, and you can use whatever sugar you prefer. I'm using raw sugar here. And my flour today is going to be organic sprouted whole wheat flour, and I have a 1/4 cup of that. Here's the one I use. It's the 1 Degree organic whole wheat sprouted flour, and it's made from non-hybridized wheat. So this is the easiest, most digestible, and most naturally grown wheat product that I could get here. And the reason I'm using this is because this is the easiest flour on my digestive system, and I've been having some issues lately. So yeah, so I'm going to take all of these ingredients and combine them in a blender and blend it up. And I'm using a Vitamix, but don't feel like you need a high-speed blender. Any blender that you have will work. You can also put this in a bowl and, mix it up that way with a, a whisk or whatever, but the blender's easiest, and so that's what I'm gonna do. You'll need about a pound of peaches, and as you can see, these are pretty big. I think the 3 of them together was about 1.5 pounds. So I have a feeling I'll probably just need 1, maybe 1.5 of these. And I'm going to, first of all, remove the peel because the texture of this dish is very light and like fluffy and like clouds, and the peel, the skin, I feel like would get in the way of that sort of fluffy mouth feel. It's supposed to melt in your mouth. So I'm going to take the peel off. You don't have to. If you like a more rustic, especially rustic looking dish, leave the peel on. Now that the skin is off, I'm just going to slice the peaches into maybe like 1/2 inch slice. Fortunately, these are freestone peaches, which makes life so much easier. You can take a little bit of this out if you want to. Maybe I'll get a spoon, and just scrape a little bit. I'll just scrape a little bit of this pink section out, just the part that's tough. Same thing over here. And then about like that, about 1/4 inch, because you want them to cook through and hold together. You don't want them to be so thin that they kind of dissolve into the dish. Once the peaches have been peeled and sliced, you're going to want to put them into a 9-inch baker, and I'm using the ceramic baker here. You can use a 9-inch pie pan or a cake pan. My poor little enameled baker is 15 years old, and it's starting to show its age, so I'm going to have to get a new one soon. But I'm just going to arrange the slices in a way that they look kind of pretty, but mostly you just want to make sure that you get a bite of peach in every bite. All right. And I did use 1.5 peaches, and I think that's going to be about perfect. And if there's anything left over, I'll just eat it. Okay. And this is why I use a blender to make this. We're just pouring the yummy batter in. Let's see if we can get it all in there. Yeah. And then I'm going to put this in an oven that has preheated to 375. Bake it for 10 minutes at 375 and then turn the heat down to 350 and bake it another, how long? 35 minutes. So this is how it looks when it first comes out of the oven, and it needs to cool for about 20 minutes before you can actually serve it. There it is, peach clafoutis for breakfast. The texture is quite eggy, and I think if I make this again, I will put more flour in it, but it tastes really good. I already tried it. And there it is, the final dish. Okay, I'm back, and here is a little piece of my peach pancake, aka breakfast clafoutis, and I can tell you first off, it tastes amazing. The sweetness was exactly right. The peaches themselves are sweet, so you really don't need a lot of sugar in the batter. I could probably even use less. I served it sprinkled with a little powdered sugar. You can add, I guess, maple syrup if you want to, but it really doesn't need it. And it was delicious and filling. The texture was more eggy than I would have liked. So the next time I make this, I'm just going to bring the amount of flour back up to the suggested 3/4 cups is what's suggested in the recipe. So I'll just bring the flour back up again and then go from there. And if I still don't like it, then I'll reduce it by half and put it down to 1/2 cup of flour. So I'm going to keep tweaking it and playing with it, but I did want you to know that if you wanted to try this, it makes, especially if you've got late peaches in your neighborhood right now, it makes a beautiful, and the presentation, you know, especially if you're, you know, you want to present something to your family that's really pretty and that tastes good too, I highly recommend this meal. What else did I say? Before I go, I have been having some digestive issues, as I mentioned in the video, and I am going to try to go off wheat for a couple of weeks and see if that makes a difference. I didn't have any issues immediately after eating this, but later, yesterday, which is the day that I filmed and ate it for the first time, I've been having a lot of acid reflux, and it did come back a bit, you know, yesterday, late in the afternoon. So that could just be from, I think a lot of it is emotional that's causing it, because I've been taking medicine and doing different things for about 3 weeks, adjusting diet, herbs, you know, the whole 9 yards, and nothing, it just consistently has been up. So nothing like that has really helped. So I'm trying a couple of other things, and I think maybe if I make that adjustment in my diet, that might be the last thing that would, take care of the problem for good. But we'll see. And I'll keep you posted. Hi everyone, update time. I just made the pancake again this morning, and I used more flour, and I used a different flour. I'll show you pictures, but I wanted to show you the flour that I used because it's a gluten-free all-purpose flour, and it's the first time I've used this. It's from Pamela's, and it's the artisan blend non-dairy version of the gluten-free. And the problem with me and gluten-free products in general is that they all, or the vast majority of them, contain corn, and I am corn intolerant. So this particular one doesn't. The troublesome ingredient in these sorts of flours is xanthan gum, and this doesn't have it. It has guar gum instead. So I tried this flour. I used 3/4 of a cup, just like the original recipe. And because I've messed around with the recipe so much, I will put exactly the proportions and things like that I used in the list below, down in the description box. But it turned out great. It came out very puffy. And so what I did is I served it by flipping it over so that you could see the fruit underneath, because I only used 1 peach this time. I only had 1 peach. I didn't have 2. So normally 1.5 peaches would be perfect. But even with the 1 peach, tasted delicious, and the texture was great. It was probably more doughy than I would have liked, but I'll take it over the eggy consistency of the first one. But yes, I wanted you to know that my first time baking with a gluten-free flour turned out very well, and the dish also turned out very well. All right, so that's it for today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I would love that too. I would love to have you and get to know you. And I guess in the meantime, I'm going to sign off now. So until I see you again, everyone have a great day. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon. Bye, everybody. And enjoy peach pancake. Yum.